And I believe we are live. Second episode of the JLS Podcast. Mary, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, good. I'm still pretty new at this, but obviously trying to get things going. And you and I were linked up as battle buddies in a challenge of Pace Morby, correct?
We are.
Okay. So before we even talk about that challenge, why don't you maybe just quickly introduce yourself? Obviously, you and I know each other through Pace Morby's community, but I'm assuming we also know each other because of real estate and investing and things like that. Okay.
Mhm.
What else can you tell
Absolutely.
us about?
Do you want me to go? Do you want me to
Yeah.
introduce myself? Okay, perfect. I'm Mary McGervey, Lawrenson. I am very new to real estate, much newer than you.
Right.
I actually just started earlier in this year with a women's group. That's how I got started. I found this mentorship and went through a class, and then I joined their, I guess, for lack of a better word, I joined their team. And then as I was going along, some of the women in the group introduced me to Pace Morby, and I was like, I've never heard of him. So I Googled him and I found Pace and Jamil, and I just started following them and reaching out and getting involved in the Elephant Challenge. And then I ended up getting involved in some of the groups within the Elephant Challenge. I guess some of the leaders that they have for Sub 2.
So was this the
And
elephant
it's
challenge?
been an awesome experience.
Was the elephant challenge pre you joining the Sub Two mentorship?
I actually didn't join Sub 2 yet because the women's mentorship that I joined in February was allotments too. And I'm waiting until I get a little further along. And I definitely am going to join. Thankfully, Pace is a go giver. And he encouraged us in the Elephant Challenge to get involved with Sub 2 students, which I have, including you as my battle buddy. And you have your hat on to prove it. Um, so I actually got joined up with some of the groups within the Elephant Challenge, and I meet with them every morning. And I'm on their Facebook group, and it's been phenomenal. Like I talked to one of the leaders earlier today, and she even said she noticed such a change in my what's the word I want to use? My learning curve. She said, I can just tell such a big difference. You've been really practicing, you've been, studying and really trying to get this stuff done. So that made me feel better. And again, I'm still so new, but I do feel a lot more confident with the information because I'm understanding it. I'm understanding how to apply it. So I'm just really excited. I just want to like get out there and just go
Yeah,
now.
you got the lingo down, and now you're just like, okay, I can have these conversations now, different level conversations.
Yep. Yep. I even had a difficult one today from an agent, but I didn't let it get to me. She wasn't going to have the Sub 2, but I tried every angle to, like to handle her objections, but she just had enough of the Sub 2 and got so many phone calls. So I actually recorded it, and I'm going to have one of my leaders review it to see if they would have done the call, would they have gotten further than I did? And if so, like what could I have said differently?
Okay, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, somebody who's always looking to get feedback. Um,
Absolutely.
so one of my unofficial JV partners, his name is John Fothergill. He's actually the person that I did my first podcast episode with. So
Okay.
he and I partner with newer students and also even people outside of Sub Two. If they are generating leads and you need help closing those
Mhm.
deals, we get on the phones with their sellers to help them close their deals. And
Awesome.
so it was good for both of us because after the calls, he and I would both give each other feedback. And if
That's
anyone who's looking for constructive criticism, if you're willing to take it, then it's definitely beneficial.
absolutely. I agree. I think that's the way we grow. You get uncomfortable, you do the things that make you uncomfortable, and then you get the feedback, and you just keep practicing. And even from week to week, I notice in the group I'm in, I can see myself, and some of the other people really excelling, just even in a week, of continuing to practice.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
So you've been in this women's investing group slash community for how long now?
since February.
February of this year?
Yep, February
Oh,
this year.
wow, you're super green, huh?
Very. I'm trying every day. I'm just trying to fill myself with trainings and, on the, I call it on the job training, which is calling agents. And I'm trying to get my feet by calling sellers. I don't know why I have a little bit of an apprehension, I guess, because I'm not used to it, but the worst they could do is hang up on you. And they can't see me, but I still have that fear of calling. So I'm going to listen to a few recordings, and I'm going to try a couple myself and just get over the hump. I think that's the only way to do it.
In my opinion, and my opinion is going to be biased because I was in insurance sales for over 10 years
Okay.
before I started doing full-time real estate investing. And our lives were booking appointments over the phone. So you get numb to getting hung up on very quickly. And to the point where I would call them back and be like, I'm sorry, we must have gotten disconnected, So yeah, you just learn to
And they're like, no.
brush it off. Like, okay, I got an FU today. How many FUs did you get? It almost becomes like a competition,
Yeah, you keep track of them.
Yep.
On a piece of paper and say, hey, look.
Exactly. Well, when you get those commas in your paycheck afterwards, you're like, okay, these 5 FUs were worth that comma in my paycheck.
Absolutely. That's what I have to remember. And I actually do. I started writing things on note cards, just like things, positive statements that I try to say before I call. Or I know it sounds weird, but sometimes I'll even look in the mirror and I'll say a couple things to myself. And I'm like, go do it right now. And just, you've got this. And I'll sit down. And I did call a seller. It went fairly well, but she kind of knew I was calling because the agent, felt bad and wanted her to sell her home. So she's like, just call her. But the next 7 that I have on my list, I'm a little nervous. And my husband keeps saying, they can't see you. Who cares? He goes, I'll do it. Give me the phone.
Yeah.
So, but like you said, I just got to do repetition.
Yeah. You just got to have conversations with people. I mean, there are people on the other side of that phone. So
absolutely.
Here's a recommendation. You probably may be getting this tip from the group that you're part of, is as you start to have more and more of these phone calls, whether you want to write it down or if you're a faster typer, I'm a pretty quick typer, so I usually like to type.
Okay.
If you get an objection that you struggled with, you stuttered, or you weren't able to rebut as fluently as you feel like you should have, type out that objection during the call.
Okay.
And then after the call, review that objection, maybe review it with one of your other fellow members who can help you out with the phone calls. And I start collecting them. Have a collection of these objections.
Okay.
What you're going to start to notice is they're going to basically be, a lot of them are going to be the same objections, just said differently.
Okay.
So for example, in the insurance world, one of the most common objections that we would get when we were trying to close a deal, close a sale to protect somebody's family with life insurance, is they would say, I want to think about it. That was the number one most common objection we would get. Right. But they wouldn't always use the words verbatim, I want to think about it. They might say well, give us a week and we'll get back to you. Or, I got to talk to my mom just to see what she thought, because I think she might have a couple policies and then I'll let you know. So it's not word for word the same objection, but if you really think about it, they're basically telling you they want to think about it. And 9 times out of 10, when they want to think about it, what do you think the issue actually was? Just out of curiosity, if I'm right now trying to basically present for you and your husband, if I'm trying to present you a life insurance policy that I want you to buy today, it's going to protect your family financially, right? And you tell me that you say because I usually present to both couples, right? We don't do one-legged presentations. If you were telling me that you and your husband wanted to think about it, what do you think 9 times out of 10 the real reason is that you want to think about it? What do you think really is what you want to think about?
Is it because I'm going to say no, but I'm just saying, I want more time to think about it, and then I'll probably won't follow through with the life insurance.
So that is what you're saying is accurate. Most 9 times out of 10, if they say they want to think about it and you go back to them later, you're never going to get them back later if you don't get them on the spot, at least in the insurance world. In real estate, I actually had to adjust my mindset because I was so used to closing on the spot. Because I knew if they didn't make a decision that day, they were never going to make a decision. Real estate, it's a little bit different.
Okay.
But if I just presented you, like, let's say this entire coverage, your family's going to be protected for $100,000 for you and for your husband. Here's the premium. The premium is $150 a month or $200 a month, whatever the premium is. And then I say, okay, is this number comfortable for you to protect your family, Mary? And you say, let us, talk it over. We'll get back to you. If you had to guess, what do you think is the real reason why you guys telling me you want to think about it?
Because of the money.
The price.
Because we have to come up with a certain amount of money.
Exactly. So I've learned that I want to think about it really is basically another way of saying I'm either not comfortable with this price or I can't afford this price. So
right. That makes sense.
So I'm kind of bringing in my past sales, but I only bring it to drive a comparison that when you start to save these objections that you're getting when you're reaching out to these sellers, you're going to start to notice a pattern. Like, wait a minute, they're basically saying the same thing just in different ways, and you're going to get so attuned to hearing it. It's going to be like, oh, I've heard this 100 times. I already know what to say. It's muscle memory at that point.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. And I actually, now that you mention that, I have with the agents that I've called, I have noticed a lot of their objections are very similar, but again, they word it in a different way. Mm-hmm. And I just have to kind of dig a little deeper and ask, when they say, oh no, they don't want to do sub 2. Mm-hmm. So I need to understand why. So I'll ask, well, what is it about sub 2 that the seller is apprehensive about or has an issue with, or is, and then maybe they'll say, oh, it's the DTI, or maybe the one agent today, she said, that's between my seller and myself. That's not your business. I was like, whoops. And I was like, okay, I was just trying to understand, to try to help. And I went through my thing. But another thing that I've been doing too, Jonathan, is recording. I have my Apple Watch.
Okay.
And my iPhone. Mm-hmm. And I call on my phone, and then I have that voice memo, and I hit it on my watch back, and I replay it and I listen to it. And right then I'm like, oh no, I shouldn't have said this, or I should have said this, or I'm talking too much. And we actually, in the group that I'm in, we listen to them once a week. We listen to recordings. And last week was lucky me. And I was like, oh God, it was just, you hate to hear yourself talking.
I was just going to say, don't you hate hearing yourself on like a recording or something? I'm like, oh, this is how I sound.
Yes, I hated it, but it was really good feedback. And that's where one of the leaders had said, gosh, you've gone from, A to Z. You've really done a really good job of improving, because I was practicing and I had not necessarily a script. We have some talking tracks that we go over, a lot of objections, how to handle them. And I just keep reading them. And then I just try to be conversational with the agents and not read off the script. I kind of put it in my own words. I mean, I have the script in front of me, don't get me wrong. So I make sure I don't forget the points, but it's been really helpful. And I'm sure it's going to be similar with the seller calls. But for some reason, I still am a little bit anxious about it, but I'll get through it and I'm going to do it. I just need to practice and make, even if I just do 10 and bang them out and be like, oh, that wasn't so bad. I only got hung up on this many times. And then you just made me feel better, saying you're so immune to it since, from your previous career. So now I'll just think of you thinking, hey, Jonathan got hung up all the time. He would call back and say, hey, did we get
I'm so sorry. I think we got disconnected.
Connected.
I literally had one guy when he.
So I'm going to keep that in mind.
I literally had one guy when I called him back and I was like, I'm sorry, we must have gotten disconnected. He's like, no, I hung up on you and hung up again. So I just found it funny.
That's great though.
Yeah. So you and I actually had I reached out to you over this past weekend, and you just recently had an anniversary. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
How quick?
I can't believe it.
1 year. Has it gone by quick, or how's it been going?
Yes, it's going really well. Just went by way too quick. But we did get a lot done over the past year, and we have a lot to look forward to. So I'm excited for our journey moving forward.
Love it. Now,
I'm trying to get my husband into real estate.
What kind of segues perfectly into my next question was, so you guys are both still working full time, correct?
Well, I'm actually not anymore. He is. He's crazy. Like my job was like his. We were both working crazy hours, traveling. And now it's just down to him working all these crazy hours. And he honestly, he's such a great support system. He's like, I think he believes in me more than I do. I was like, I mean, it's just amazing. I'm really grateful for that, because he said, go, do it now, put all your energy into it, keep learning everything you need to learn, and just go. And I actually just signed a lease today. I'm going to rent a very small office space for myself so that I can set up my office the way I want and just kind of work the way I need to work. And I really feel I'll be more productive because we both work from home and we haven't bought a house yet. So we're in a condo. It's a little tight, a little bit. I can hear him, he can hear me, and he'll walk down the hall and not on purpose, just he's running around doing stuff, and I can hear him, and it's just makes it a little bit difficult. So we were excited that in a couple of weeks I'll have my own space and get to set that up, and I'm gonna start to put some systems in place and really get this thing off the ground.
Love it.
From with the knowledge that I've just learned.
Love it. Now, what does he do full time, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, he is a vice president of franchise operations, or the director of operations for a franchise. So he oversees basically what his company does is. Have you ever heard of Pods?
Yes.
Okay, well, it's their competitor. It's called Units, and they franchise them out. So he has regional directors or regional managers that actually are assigned to these franchises to make sure they're running okay, they get the proper training, and he kind of oversees all of that throughout the United States. So he has experience in it. He used to do it internationally with a different company, so he's good at it, and I'm just glad he is. But I want to steal him eventually. Because some days he's like, I need to come over to your side. And I said, okay, anytime now. I mean, I could definitely use help now, but I'm trying to learn everything on my own. And eventually, like Pace says, the things that you're not necessarily good at, but like, I would love to get a transactional coordinator or transaction coordinator? Eventually, when I get that far, just so I feel more confident and I can do more of what I need to do, the marketing, etc. While they can take care of the paperwork. That's one example of eventually what I'd like to do. Just have people help with mailings or anything, any marketing things that or campaigns that I may be putting together would be definitely helpful. But I think he is going to hang at his job a little longer, obviously, just until, I get to a certain level.
Yeah. So you brought up transaction coordinators. So I love that you're thinking about covering all facets of, a real estate transaction and covering your bases, crossing your T's, dotting your I's. I think you're thinking about a transaction coordinator or somebody that you need to hire on full time. Transaction coordinator is literally someone that you can hire on a transaction by transaction basis. It could be like a deal per deal.
Okay.
So for example, if you have like a simple transaction, a cash transaction that maybe your real estate friends can help you, or you're working with an agent, you might not need one. But let's say, for example, you're doing a creative finance deal, like a subject to transaction. I would absolutely recommend you don't do it without a transaction coordinator.
Okay.
So it's literally a service that somebody provides, and you can hire them for that specific deal and that specific transaction.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's good to know.
My good friend, John Fothergill, who I brought up earlier in this conversation, his girlfriend, her name is Lily, and she has a small transaction coordinator business. So
wow.
You can absolutely reach out to me if you ever in the need of one. She's very good.
I appreciate that. I know I was going to see if any of my family members wanted to go through the training. I'm like, hey, you can do really well and I need you. But it's good to know as we network, we find people such as TCs that I could possibly, utilize in the future for any transactions. That's awesome.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, yeah, I mean, I am so not interested in learning the paperwork. I mean, I know more or less the nuts and bolts of, the terms that I need to get whenever I'm negotiating my deals. But as far as like the
Right.
ins and outs of the paperwork, I call her up. I'm like, Lily, I need you. I want nothing to do with it. So
Yeah, no. And I'm very detail oriented, so I like to know everything, but I just know I have to take a step back. That is going to slow me down. Not right away, but it will slow me down as I move forward. I don't know if I read it from Pace, maybe it was an email. He was saying that too, how he would, have to struggle through all the paperwork. And finally, when he had someone help him, he was able to continue marketing and getting more deals and, passing along the paperwork to the TCs to help him. So that's kind of what I thought may be beneficial, because they'll catch things too. And they'll make sure what needs to get to the title company or the attorney. And maybe I forgot something and they're like, hey, you need this piece of paper. Don't forget about this. So that would just help me in the long run, because it would save time. And I don't really want to read all the fine print and, have to figure all that out. So kudos to those that do, because they're very much appreciated. And I definitely will be utilizing them in the near future, we'll say,
there
right?
you
It's
go. In the
coming
near
up.
future, after I need to get you 5 no's and 5 FU's, and then we go.
That's right. I know. I'll have to text you and say, guess what happened today?
I will actually appreciate those text messages. So
Okay. I'm actually gonna hold you to it. I definitely will.
yeah. So yeah, but what a lot of people don't realize, and rightfully so, because most people probably buy, I don't know, 1 to 3 houses in their lifetime, and this
Mhm.
most of the time it's their primary residence. But what a lot of
Right.
people don't know is when you sign a contract, a purchase and sale contract to purchase a house, and you open up escrow with a title company, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that if you have a good agent that he or she is taking care of for you, that you as
Okay.
a buyer most likely never even see. So, for example, right now I am going to be partnering slash JVing with somebody on a purchase in North Carolina, and
Okay.
we were supposed to close on this property yesterday, but because of some paperwork, just to make sure that the proper heirs are in line, so we don't ever get a potential lawsuit that's somebody trying to claim the property later on. With a
Right.
certain paperwork that needs to be signed by the current owners, and they need to get proof that they're the rightful heirs. So that's all the stuff that the transaction coordinator is doing. I'm not doing any of that. So she
Okay.
completely off my plate, because I would not want to spend my time on the phone trying to get in contact with potential heirs or getting them to sign certain documents that are needed for closing. So it's all
Right.
that behind the scenes stuff that I just is what she's good at.
Yeah, I know, and that's a blessing, because it's I mean, I was in medical sales prior to real estate, and there was a ton of paperwork, and it was just constant. And now the one company that I did work for, they would have me doing all the hunting per se, the selling, and she wasn't really an assistant. She did more the servicing. So she would do all the paperwork for me, and it was awesome. Like, she helped me so much, where I focused fully on selling, 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 and being in front of the client as much as possible, or your potential client, I should say. And that's kind of reminds me of this, where, you market, 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 and then you have, you reach out for others to help. And of course you compensate them, but if they have that skill and they're good at it, and I have my skill set, then marry them together, and there you go.
Perfect. So, as you are getting started in your real estate investing career, what is your primary focus? Are you focusing right now on doing some wholesale deals first, or what is your thought process?
Yes, I would like to do wholesale. Actually, what I'd love to do is, on a full-time basis, is wholesaling, buy and holds, and then PML, private money
Mhm.
lending. I'd like to do all three of them. I know you're supposed to pick one, so I feel like I should start with getting a paycheck, which is wholesaling, and then eventually going into buy and holds to acquire real estate, so that I can, accumulate that over the years and have investment properties, and then PML as well. Those are kind of like the three things that I really would love to do. Um, Fix and flips, I don't know why. Like, I love watching and I think it's amazing, but I think for me, at least right now, I don't want to dive into that avenue yet.
Yeah.
So I give you credit because I see you all the time on Instagram. I'm like, whoa, go ahead,
Yeah.
Jonathan.
Trying. Yeah. So, obviously sometimes dealing with the contractors can be stressful, but, I like looking at, the crappy house that I started with and looking at the end, and I'm like, whoa, like I put that together. I might not have been the one swinging the
That's,
hammer, but I put the things in line and the money in motion to be able to make that happen.
that's amazing. And I've seen a couple of yours, and they look beautiful. And congratulations on that. Did you start with flipping in your real estate career?
Actually, no. My first property that I bought was actually a buy and hold property. Uh,
Okay.
and I have one, and then after that is probably when I started getting into fix and flipping more. So I would say I chose the perfect time. Right around 2020 when the whole world got shut down for what, is when I decided to kind of go full time. And I ended up partnering with a friend of mine on a 3-family house down in Brockton, Massachusetts, which is about 35-40 minutes south of Boston.
Okay.
So that was a big project. We went, way over timeline, way over budget, but I learned a ton. I call that that project was I call it the what's the name? I call that the Murphy's Law House, because then anything that could have gone wrong went wrong. Like even when I was a funny story, I won't tell all the stories, but one funny
Oh
story
no.
is when I was getting bids from general contractors to see how much the construction and the scope of work was going to cost. When we were going down into the basement,
Right.
he stopped halfway down the stairs, and I was like, "What happened? Why'd you stop? We're going down to the basement." He's like, "There's a raccoon in your basement. I'm not going down there." It was a live raccoon in my
Oh my
basement that we couldn't go
gosh.
down at the moment because we probably could have gotten hurt. Yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh. I would have probably just ran out and been like,
Yeah.
I give
Yeah.
up. So good
Yeah.
for you.
So, but no, that's awesome. So obviously, what do you do? So wholesale right now is primary focus number one for you, right? So because you're gonna
Yes.
get that's your quickest way to a paycheck. So
Yes, exactly.
typically, wholesaling, what I've come to realize, is just like any other sales profession, right? Whether it's like where I come from, the insurance sales profession, or if you
Mhm.
sell copiers, whatever sales you can think of, car sales, it's basically marketing and sales, right?
Right.
So you need to
Mhm.
market to generate leads, and then you need to be able to close said leads. So what type of lead generation are you
Exactly.
doing right
You're
now? What do you focus
absolutely right. So actually, I'm excited to get to my new office too. I am going to this and tell me your thoughts as well. So my one campaign, I wanted to do a mailer for foreclosures, to send out and have them. There's a system. I can do it myself too. My niece may help me, but I also found a system that will mail them out for you. And they'll send out, like if you want to do 7 touches every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks, however you want to do it. That was one that I wanted to do in this area. I also wanted to send out a mailer in Florida area. There was a girl that I don't know what the verbiage is. I'm going to reach out to her regarding like low equity, low interest rates, obviously to get a sub two. Of
Mhm.
course, I'm not going to word it exactly like that, but she was doing it in California. And I want to reach out and just kind of pick her brain a little bit so that I can put a postcard together and do the same thing, the 7 touches. I think that's what they normally say takes for someone to respond. And then the other thing, I have the Astro Blaster from
Okay.
Jamil, and I actually found a guy that said he would actually, Andy, I think will help me as well. I was just going to have them finish setting it up. I had a couple issues with it. And I thought if I have the postcards going out automatically every 2 weeks, at least 7 times for both one foreclosure, one for the sub two. And then the Astro Blaster works every day. It's a text blasting system. So that's kind of where I was going to start and see how that went. And then, after 60 to 90 days, kind of evaluate, hey, how did it go? Like what is it, your KPIs, kind of look at that. And then if maybe one's not working as well, and maybe I try something else, or maybe I just kind of think, did I do, look back at maybe something I didn't do the right way. Maybe I can change some things. That's kind of what I was looking at. Right now, I've been mainly calling the leads that the group has provided for me, which we do get paid if it ends up closing, but it's nothing, not the same as getting your own lead, but it's tremendous practice for me so that when I get my marketing campaigns and if I get a call or I'm doing the texting with agents, I'll feel more confident in my answers just from working and practicing with the group.
Love it. Love it. And just for anybody who may be listening may not know what a KPI is, can you please explain what a KPI is?
Yes, and I can't remember what it stands for. My husband will laugh. I'm like, what does KPI stand for again? And he's always like, can't you remember it? I'm like, no.
How about this?
It's
Explain to me what it is, because I know the acronym. I'll say the acronym afterwards. Explain to me what it is.
Okay. It basically measures your success over a certain period of time. I like to do 30 days. Like if you start a marketing campaign, I like to, at the 30-day mark, definitely take a look. But also I was reading on one of the Facebook groups where they do a weekly KPI to see if you reach your goals. And then by the end of the 30 days, you evaluate again. So I do like that, where you do it weekly, especially if you're doing calls or texting. You look and say, okay, you're supposed to do 50 calls this week. And then you look and say, oh, I did 40, but maybe they were really good quality and you got, 3 leads out of it. Or maybe they weren't at all. And you're like, hey, I got to step my game up. So I think that's what I would like to do, is on a weekly basis, see if I'm, meeting how I measure myself, set those goals. Like, am I going to do 10 calls a day, 12 calls a day? How many mailers am I going to mail out today? That kind of thing. And then at the end of the week, evaluate it. And then at the end of 30 days, again, and do that. And they usually say, I've just listened to a training, it could be right or wrong, but to stick with the same marketing for at least 60 days up to 90 and keep tweaking it. I mean, if it's really bombing out, you don't want to continue to spend money on something. But that's how I thought maybe a good start when I actually do my own marketing with my own leads is to measure it weekly and then monthly. And then at the end of a 90-day period, really say, hey, this really worked. I'm going to continue this, or, maybe look into another tactic that other people have had success with.
Yeah. So key performance indicators. There it is.
Thank you. I should have put a little note. I don't know why I always forget what they are, but I know what they are, but I never remember the acronym.
Yeah. So what it does, it basically helps you measure and track, your numbers as far as what's working for you, what's not. So if you're constantly making phone calls to different leads, how many phone calls does it take for you to get a deal, right? How many phone calls does it take for you to have a conversation on the phone, right?
Right.
And of those conversations that you're having on the phone, how many of them are leading to a deal? So let's say, for example, you make 100 phone calls and you only get 15 people on the phone. And of those 15 conversations, you get 1 deal, right? So you now know, based on your closing ratio, that you need to have 15 conversations. Well, in order for you to have 15 conversations, you need to make 100 dials.
Right.
Well, that's just one. I've made up numbers, but that's a random example.
No, that's actually, and I'm glad we actually brought this subject up, because I have that in my notes, but that was just really a good visual of that. Thank you. Because I'm thinking, okay, how many calls did I make at the end of the week? I'm going to measure this, but I like the way you said it. You were very detailed about the KPI. You were like, okay, how many calls did you make? But how many out of those calls, how many people did you talk to? And out of those people that you talked to, how many of those are like a hot lead? And then eventually, how many did you close? Because that's going to be key, no pun intended.
I like it.
To, my success. And maybe eventually I could, something that I would love to do, because I love talking to people, but sometimes I don't always like doing the initial legwork as I get busy. But I like to do it now because I like to understand it. I want to be in the, what's the word?
In the trenches?
I don't know, in the mud. Yes, in the trenches. And then eventually I wouldn't mind hiring some people to help make some calls. And then if they're hot leads, or I don't know if I'm using the right term, but I'm sure you understand what I mean.
Mhm.
Then maybe turn it over to me at that point, and then I can, do the more of the conversational and try to find more pain points and so forth. But that's eventually kind of where my vision is. And I think Pace even has a program that you can get, but I just wanted to do some of it on my own. Even my husband's like, you gotta grind, you gotta try to learn everything you can, before you assign tasks to other people. And I'm like that anyway.
Mhm.
I love to learn every little thing, and then at least I've gone through it a certain amount of time, and then once I grow from there, I would love to expand and have some people help with the calling. And I'll continue to call, but it'd be nice to have some other, just even one or two people helping.
Have you read the book You Can't Teach a Kid to Ride a Bike in a Seminar?
I have not. I'm gonna have
Uh,
to.
Hold
I've got to write that down. Huh?
on, I got you. Shit.
Oh, you got me. I love it.
Share screen. Let's see. Can you see Google?
I can see it.
You can't teach a right here.
I'm gonna actually just take a. I'm like lazy now. I'm gonna take a snapshot.
There you
Since we have
go.
technology.
David Sandler. He developed something called the Sandler method. You can't teach a kid to ride a bike at a seminar. This is an amazing, amazing selling book. I'm only a quarter of the way through, and I'm like, holy crap, this book is amazing.
Wow, I'm excited. Yeah, I actually just started reading
You got it?
Rich Dad Poor Dad. Yes, I took a picture. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm excited. I'm gonna have to get that one too.
Yeah. All right, we're back. I was like, how do I stop?
Although I am like I don't love to read, but sometimes I'll force myself and I'll set my alarm for 10 minutes in the morning just to get through some pages so that I, more of a positive mindset too. It helps you when you're reading books like that. But I think someone had said I can use that Audible on my phone, that
Yep.
app. I don't know what that would be like, but I guess I could try it because it's like they're talking to you and I'm like, why get distracted and then like lose track of what they're saying? But I'm going to try it and see what works better for me.
Yeah, I actually downloaded Audible. They're basically just reading the book out loud. They're narrating the book for you.
Okay.
So when I was my most recent flip, I was having to go there very often, and it's like an hour and a half drive for me. So I either listen to like YouTube podcasts or I listen to audiobooks. That's the best thing.
Okay.
And I know that you said you work from home, but maybe if there's ever time where you have some downtime or you're kind of just like in the zone, if you want to have like, your phone playing the audio, test it out. Some people like audio version better, some people don't. I have the audio version for when I know I'm going to be doing a lot of driving and I know I want to get some books in, then I'll listen to the audio version. But I personally would rather read.
Okay.
But I'm just like you. I actually don't. It's kind of weird. It's like a little bit of an oxymoron. I don't enjoy reading, but I enjoy what it does for my mind. Because I know
that's a really good way to put it. I like that.
So and I know the benefits of what it does. It just opens up your mind. I look at it like a muscle. That's what I teach my son. I have my son whenever he's with me. He's required to read 20 pages a day.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah. Really good.
Yeah, he's not allowed to touch his phone. In order for him to be able to use his phone every day, he has to pay. And his form of payment is going to be reading 20 pages a day and watching some type of informational documentary or some type of informational show.
That's excellent. I love that you do that. I think that'll go a long way.
Yeah. The documentary, I can't even take credit for that. I stole that from a man named Patrick Bet-David. He has a very famous podcast.
Okay.
He has something called the PBD podcast, Patrick Bet-David.
Oh, wow.
So he talks about all different topics, everything from like political conversations to he talks with everybody on the left, right, and then he also was in insurance sales as well. So go figure why.
Okay,
of him.
That's cool.
But yeah, so you should definitely follow him if you don't already.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that. But that's a good idea because I found a new place to walk close to where I live. It's real quiet, a lot of trees. And the other day I went and I put my earbuds in and I was listening to, it was some positive, his name's Wesley Virgin. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he's like, it's about like abundance and being positive and putting yourself in the now, that kind of thing. And it was just, I loved it. And it was like almost like a meditation too, and it was just really peaceful. And I think I walked further that day than any other day because I was so
pumped.
in like,
Let's go.
yeah. And I was like, I loved the words he said, and I just kept listening, and I didn't want to stop. I'm like, I could sit here for the next 2 hours. So that's what I'll definitely do with the audibles is I'll, like you said, if I have a drive, which I think next week I have a couple hours to drive. And then when I walk, I can always put in the earbuds. I try for the most part when I'm in the car. Like the other day I had to travel and pick something up. There was a training that I missed, and I immediately put it in. I'm like, I don't want to miss certain things, but you can't be present for everything. So I really do try to utilize my time. Like you said, if I'm in the car, or I'm walking, or even just downtime, you need just to sit outside at 10 minutes in the sun, just to get away from everything. Just put your earbuds in and kind of listen to some positive, whether it be a book, a training that you missed, or that, but whatever I was listening to, I really liked it. Every night I'm like addicted to it. I keep listening to it in bed. So, but it's helpful. It's like puts me in a good mindset.
Yeah. I've gotten to the point now where, don't get me wrong, I still love to listen to music, but I'm just like, I would rather just be like, just downloading some type of informational content, whether it's a podcast
Absolutely.
talking about current events and things like that. Or lately, and I find this super ironic because I hated history all throughout school, all the way through college.
So did I.
And I've just been obsessed with watching stuff about history lately.
That's
Like
awesome.
the most random things. My girlfriend the other day, she's like, "What are you watching on YouTube?" And I was like, "I'm watching a documentary about fascist Italy and Mussolini." And she's like, "Where did you even come up with this?" I'm like, "I don't know. I want to see how this guy came to power. Like, why did they like him so much at first and then hated him afterwards?" So,
That's amazing. It's funny that you said that. It's just ironic because I didn't know we had this in common. I hated history growing up. Like I just, it wasn't interesting to me. I'm a kid, you're distracted. It's not fun. It's dry. And as I get older, and my husband now, but when we were dating and even engaged, he'd always be watching stuff like, I'm like, what are you watching? Like and he's like, I just love history and I love learning about different, I mean, it's all sorts of things. And now he's got me interested. I'm always asking him questions like, what's this? And he just laughs at me because he's like, how do you not know that? I'm like, I'm going to tell you one more time. When I was a kid, I did not pay attention to history because I truly I thought I despised it. But as an adult, I definitely have an interest. So it's just funny that how you didn't like it. Now you're watching, documentaries and so forth. I think that's fun. That's cool.
super random. I mean, I jumped from different times to like Roman Empire, World War II. Just I'm all over the place. So, but
That's awesome. Well, good for
yeah.
you.
I feel like you kind of start to see, from different things in history, you start to see similarities and kind of the way it shaped where we are today. It's like, oh, okay, like, oh, this happened. Okay, what was the perspective from this side? So obviously World War II, is terrible Hitler or whatever, but I'm like, what was appealing about this guy? Like, why were they following him? Because I'm sure, he didn't just come out right from the beginning saying like, we're gonna kill 6 million people.
Exactly.
There was some methodology behind it. And I was just like, okay. Same thing with Mussolini. So, which is super random, but nonetheless.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but we went on a little bit of a sidetrack. I wanted to ask you, coming backtrack just a little bit. It was a good sidetrack. I liked it. You said that you're going to be doing some mailing as well, correct?
Correct.
A lot of people typically don't start off with mailing because of the
Okay.
well, not that it's bad, but people who have less financial. Were you able to find the mailing at a really good cost, or you may be getting a discount from a hookup or something?
I'm not sure yet. I have PropStream. I know they do it. I found this other system, but I haven't fully investigated it yet. I only got through half of the training. It's called REI Works. They mail them out for you. But I also have a niece who is in grad school and she needs money. And I thought maybe I could have her do it. She's real creative. And, I was actually going to actually ask her to help me with my design, like my logo, my business cards. I have them done, but I kind of did them in a hurry. I'm so detail oriented, but people are like, just don't waste time on that. Just get something together because you want to spend your time, learning and taking action. So I was going to have her kind of tweak them for me and then do the mailers for me, where she would put the stamps on. And somebody told me to actually write the address out because um, I guess I don't know what the percentage is, but the rate of people opening it, looking at their name typed versus written was higher. So I don't know, but that might be a way to go to keep the cost down, is to um, ask her if she'll help me and just pay her something,
I think
give her something or a gift card.
we're gonna go on another Google search. All right, because I believe that there is a company that can automate the handwriting for you.
Oh,
Think. I
I bet you're right.
know, I just don't remember the company name, so we're gonna try to figure it out together. Let's see. Handwritten mailers, real estate. Yellow HQ, Scribe, direct mail. This might Ballpoint Marketing. This is the name of the company. I don't know what their prices are, but they literally can have machines that do this. So I think
taking another
also,
picture.
yeah, Ballpoint Marketing. Don't quote me on this, but I think
Okay, awesome.
I think what you can do is I think that
Oh,
you
they do written door hangers.
I think you can write a letter and they can get the machine to copy your
Okay.
writing style and then start writing automated letters for you in your handwriting. I think.
Okay, now that would be great. And I wouldn't even mind, like, I have a girl that lives close to me that's in the same mentorship I'm in. And I asked her, I said, would you want to do door knocking one day, like just on the weekend, and just to see? I mean, get a little experience. And she's like, sure. So I'm even open to doing that, just to try it. There's on PropStream on the actual mobile app, they have where you can put in like pre-foreclosure, and then it'll actually set up like your route, and show you how many homes are in, depending on what mileage you put in, radius you put in. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then I could get a door knocker and just put it on the door if they don't answer. And I would prefer to go with someone. Number one, I'm a woman. Number two, I think it's a good idea to have two people, and go in the daytime. But I don't know. I just thought, what the heck, Russell? I mean, I'm willing to try anything. And I thought, what's a couple hours on a Saturday or Sunday and try to see. You never know.
Door knocking is always better with a battle buddy. Pun intended.
Yes, exactly.
So yeah, absolutely.
So
John
maybe I'll do
Fothergill and
that.
I definitely we did some door knocking of some pre-foreclosures. So, obviously some of these people were in tough situations. So sometimes we get, pretty mean responses, but other times they're kind of just like either we get no response, a mean response, or they're just like, I need help. So
Yeah. And I was like, should I bring cookies? And I'm thinking they'll probably, I mean, I don't know if that's really appropriate, but I would do
don't
it
bring
if,
cookies.
if
Don't
it
bring cookies.
worked.
Don't bring cookies. Just imagine somebody knocked on your doors, be like, "Hey, are you interested in selling your home? Here's a cookie. Don't bring cookies."
Yeah, they'll be throwing the cookies at me.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but I wouldn't mind trying it. And that's when I get into my office space too, I have a whiteboard that I just like to have up because it's big and I'm visual, and I want to, write down like my marketing campaigns and like the start dates, and I want to be like very specific, because if I'm just general, a week could go by and I'm like, hey, I didn't start this one, or I didn't do this one. So I want to make sure that, the campaigns we discussed earlier, those are in stone, they're written down, the dates, and then I'm going to follow along with the KPIs, and then I could fit the door knocking in from there, because I really want to make sure that I'm running the campaigns that I discussed first, and then like I could take a couple Saturdays or Sundays a month, and just try the doors to see, just to get that experience too, of a different touch point. It's not a mailer, it's not over the phone. It'd be kind of interesting to see if people will come out and speak to us so or slam the door in our face. I don't know. Maybe they'll throw a
You might
cookie
get
at
all of
me.
the above.
That's true. But at least I'll have someone with me and I'll feel more
Yeah.
comfortable. And I know they do tell you to stand back from the door, not like, right up at the front door, just and kind of not like staring, at the person. I think I read
Yeah.
that somewhere. Um,
Yeah, I mean,
so,
definitely give.
but
I would
yeah, it's
say like right, somebody's arm's length is typically their their personal bubble. So
right.
definitely don't be within their arm's length. Maybe take a step back and just be very polite. And even when you're polite, some
Yep.
people are still going to be super rude to you, and it's okay. You just brush it off and move on to the next one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it would just be at least a good experience, whether, it worked out or not, just to go through that motion and really see what these people were experiencing. And maybe, I'll learn something, from it.
Yeah. If you have somebody to role play with beforehand, I would definitely do it. Just so you
Okay.
like be a little bit prepared versus trying to freestyle it, in at the moment in front of the door.
Absolutely. Okay. Actually, you remind me, I took really good notes back earlier in the year on, I did this training on door knocking and I wrote all the notes of, what to say and where to stand and that kind of thing. So I would definitely review that and I could, just pretend like I'll go outside and knock on the door, have my husband answer.
I
Pretend he'll be mean too. He'll be a good one.
don't know. Is he up to the task? I don't know if he could be mean to his newly wife.
Oh no, he'd be able to do
Happen.
well with that. Yeah.
He's like,
So,
I've
but
been
that's
waiting
a
for
good
this
idea.
moment. So now I'm justified.
She told me to be mean to her.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
but
no, that's
yeah, that's a
good.
great idea.
Love it. I love it. So good. No, you have a whole, you should document when you get your new office and how you're setting it up. You just document it.
Yep.
And maybe get some suggestions from people and saying like, hey, like I'm thinking about putting a whiteboard up here and setting up this way so I can keep track. And maybe
Mhm.
somebody might say, hey, typically in my office I have that whiteboard and I also have this to help me keep track. Maybe they'll give you some ideas you weren't considering.
Yep. Okay. I do have a spreadsheet too. I think it's for the Astro Blaster. So I could even maybe use something similar to that and, add the other campaigns and different columns or something. I'll take a look at it and because I want to make sure I'm measuring all of them because I'm putting money into this. So it's not like, I don't want to waste money and just be like, oh, whatever, I don't care. Throw $1,000 away and I didn't measure anything. And I don't want to do that, because
Correct.
we all work hard for our money. So I want to make sure that I am measuring everything because if it's not working, then I got to figure out what tweaks to make, or maybe just to get rid of it altogether and try something else.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you have a lot of things going on right now. It's exciting times where you're getting started. So
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting close, but I'm not there yet. But I don't know why I have this feeling of like something's coming. I don't know where it's coming from, but I feel like I don't know. Like I feel like the light bulb's gone off, and I don't know. I'm just feeling very positive, which is good. I want to keep this mindset, and that's why I've been trying to every day listen to something so that I don't, go in the other direction. But thankfully, my husband is very optimistic, and as soon as I get down, he's like, "Nope," and he turns it right around, and that it's very helpful. So then I'm like, "Okay, I gotta go say something positive to myself."
yeah,
So that's another thing I'm grateful for because I'm in a positive environment with, his support,
love it.
which is
Love it.
amazing.
Absolutely. I mean, that's super important because when I was in management in insurance sales, we would be doing a lot of hiring of new agents. And
Mhm.
typically if a new agent didn't have their spouse's support, because starting a sales career is very, time intensive. It can be very lucrative, but it's also very time intensive. And
It is.
if you don't have the support at home, we always say, they're gonna fire you before you even have the chance to fire yourself. So
I know. I know. Here's me. I'm telling him, I'll go get a part time job just, so I'm bringing in some money. And he's like, no. Like he gets mad. He's like, no, you're not listening. you take 100% and you just you focus. You're given this time for a reason. I think you'll be distracted. And I was like, really? Like, it's just amazing to me that he's like, no, I want you to, you know, you wanted to do something on your own. Here you are, just spend all your time doing that. So that's what I've been doing. I'm trying to be a sponge and, collect knowledge, but also doing the practicing with calling the agents and in the one seller that I called, but I'll get there. I found one that went off the market and I called the agent today. He's like, yeah, I can't get in touch with the seller. So my leader that I talked to in the group, I said, can I go ahead and skip trace that seller? She's like, sure, maybe we'll call them together. I'm like, that would be great. Just to kind of get over that hump of getting into seller call. So I'm going to skip trace the seller and ask her if she'll, call with me or maybe I just listen in to see what she says.
Yeah.
Just to hear I've watched the, different podcasts or trainings, I guess. YouTube, they'll have them on there, but it is nice to, if she offers, just to listen to her and be on the phone at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. And definitely get that book. I'm telling you right now, it's definitely a great book. It translates so well in the way that we do with the real estate piece, speaking with people on the phone. It's funny because, like I've mentioned this a couple of times on this during this conversation. John Fothergill and I, we do JVing with new people who generate leads and need help closing deals. So we've had a couple of instances where they weren't prepared for our tactic, and we basically follow the Sandler method, which is from that book. And we don't really care about the house. We care about solving their problem.
Right.
And sometimes that involves us disqualifying them as even a potential seller. So we'll tell them, Mary, why haven't you listed this thing on the market? I think you'll get more money than if you do a deal with me. And, a new agent who is super protective of the two leads that they generated, they're like, what are you doing? You're losing my seller. But it's like, listen, if they are going to go sell it on market, they were planning on doing that anyway. They just wanted to see what you were going to offer them, and then they were going to go get a higher offer somewhere else. So why don't they do it now and let the market beat them up? Then you try to, do some negotiations, and then they ghost you after you give them a number, and then they go throw it on market anyway.
No, that's a good point. Actually, I have a Amazon order that I didn't hit send yet because I have to add something. So I'm going to add that book to my order, and then I'll hit send. So that just reminded me. So I'll make sure I add that to my cart.
I love it. Yeah. I just got a new book from my son. He is finishing up the book that he's currently reading, so I needed to get him another one for this weekend.
How old is your son?
12. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm so glad that you have him reading, and that's just amazing. I almost wish, like, when I was younger, someone would have made me read more often because I just didn't. I didn't like it for some reason. I think I just didn't like to sit still.
This is the thing. You wouldn't have appreciated it then, but looking back on it, you'd be like, yes, that was really good. The same thing with my son. He doesn't appreciate it now, and he procrastinates it, but he'll appreciate it in the future.
He will. Absolutely. He definitely, and he'll come back and be like, thanks to my dad. Mm-hmm. He will, because it's amazing what, especially if he's reading the right things, like you're teaching him, all that information going into his brain.
Yeah. He's super interested in basketball. So right now, just to at least have him not super, he really doesn't enjoy it, but to not make him like loathe reading, I have him.
Right.
He reads like books about Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, since he's super into basketball. So I just bought him a book about Larry Bird. So, yeah.
Oh, did you? Good.
Yeah.
See, that's great.
From Boston, of course, we got to at least do one of the greats in Boston, right? So.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So, wow.
But you got some exciting times ahead of you.
So what?
Go ahead.
I was going to say, what is next on your real estate agenda?
Next for me is I need to get. So we just finished our project in Manchester, New Hampshire. So that's currently on market. We need to get that. We need to get that one sold. After that, we are currently in the process of rehabbing a property in Attleboro. So I would say
Okay.
within the next 30 to 60 days, that one should be finished.
Did you say you have one in North Carolina too?
Yes.
Okay.
That one. So that one, we weren't even planning on buying. So it was a student who brought it to us, and we wanted to make sure that he could receive some type of wholesale fee. And
Okay.
the previous buyers that we had backed out. So myself and John Fothergill are going to partner on this one and just buy it ourselves. And we're going to either try to sell it on seller finance because we're going to own it outright. The purchase is
Okay.
really small. So either seller finance or
Okay.
we're just going to sit on it for a little while, wait for the market to appreciate just a little bit more to justify the rehab that we have to put into it to be able to rehab it fully.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So we basically, the game plan with that one is like we're going into that one with the mindset knowing that we may need to sit on this property for a little while and kind of just house it.
Okay. Well, at least that's good that you know that ahead of time.
Absolutely. Yeah. But I mean, it'll be a really good seller finance deal for someone else as well. If someone wants to maybe get a fix and flip property that they don't have to buy it outright and they can maybe put $5,000 down and just make a small monthly payment and then pay us when they're done flipping the property. Yeah.
That's a
so
good idea.
That'll be, we'll put together some pretty good terms for them as well.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you got your schedule will be filling up pretty quickly with a lot of that.
Yeah, I think once we get Manchester off the books, it'll free up. I'll be able to pay. I have some private money lenders in that one. They're gonna make their money. They're gonna plus their interest, and then I'll be attacking more the next deal more aggressively than I am now, just because that one is now done.
Right. Absolutely. Well, good.
Yeah. So
lots of exciting things.
Yeah, and especially with you too, you're going to be starting a new marketing campaign with the mailers and also some cold calls. So, and one thing I like is that we have this documented. I look forward to maybe another time in the future where I have you on and you're speaking with this great real estate lingo, and you're like, yeah, I got all these properties. I've done this many deals. I'm going to be like, yeah, I remember when you had nothing going on or just starting when you were starting your marketing. So I'm looking forward to those.
Oh, the excitement, but nothing yet. Yeah. And then maybe next time I'll have more of the deals under my belt. Well, both the excitement and the deals, right? Well, I'll bring both.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I just feel I don't feel as lost as I did when I started the journey. I just think there were just so many things to learn. I got caught in the middle of I guess they call it shiny object syndrome. And I was like, I don't know which way to go. What do I do first? And it just is a matter of, I think the group really helped me just kind of focus on, like, we're doing direct to agent, but we're also going to be doing foreclosures. And it's just nice to practice one piece of it for a couple months and then move on to another tactic and practice that and just get feedback from people that have experience, even that don't have experience. It's just overall, I feel like I really benefited, and maybe I'm taking a little longer, to dive in, but I'm just really one of those detail oriented people. And I like to know things first. I just don't want to go throwing money around if I'm not knowledgeable on it, because I feel like that wouldn't be too smart of me. Now that I have groups of people like yourself and I've been networking, now I have help. Like, I feel more confident because I understand the information, and maybe I don't understand it as well as you, but I get it. And I can say, hey, Jonathan, what do you think of this? And, it's nice just to have people to bounce things off of or JV with. And so I'm willing. I'm not greedy. Mm-hmm. I don't need to do something by myself and mess it all up. If I need help, I'm going to reach out and say, hey, someone partner with me. I've got this far. Can you help me with this part? And because what do they say? 50% of something is better than 100% of nothing. Did I say that right? Or did I say it backwards?
50% of a watermelon is better than 100% of a grape.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. I like that one. Yeah. So, because I feel like, teamwork is awesome, working in a team, and I learn from other people what they do. And I'm hoping people will learn from me eventually as well. And I don't know. It's just good to have those connections out there, and not, you don't want to just be by yourself. Like when I started, I thought, oh my gosh, I just have to do this by myself. It's kind of boring because I'm always by myself. And then all of a sudden, this whole world opened up, with all these people, and it's been amazing. So I'm ready to get my stuff started now.
Absolutely. The community definitely helps out. Networking communities, you need it, especially in this. Before I joined the Pace Morby
Definitely.
community, it just felt like I was on an island. And now, just with the
Yeah.
networking that I have available to me, I mean, if something comes up in Georgia or something, I've never even been to Georgia. Well, I went to an amusement park there,
Right.
but I've never done any business whatsoever in Georgia. But if something came across in Georgia, I feel confident knowing that, okay, I don't personally know anybody there, but I think through my network, we can potentially find someone who could potentially help us out in that area.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. And I'm not even a sub 2 student yet, and I actually feel fairly confident with that I have a handful of people already to reach out to that would be willing to help. And what I like now is, this is the important thing. I wanted to bring value to, like, just say, we'll use you as an example. So say like I vet a deal myself, and I do like a little seller net sheet and write up a, letter of intent. I actually feel somewhat confident doing that now. Whereas a month ago, I would have been like, oh, I forget this number. How do you put this? Where does this number go? But I almost feel like I get close to understanding, oh, this is a good deal. This would cash flow, or this would be good to wholesale, or I'm starting to now. I'm not an expert by any means, but I'm getting it, and I'm seeing it and picking up on it. So that's kind of what I would like to do, is really try to do all that work. And then I don't really know the contracts very well. So at that point, then I would reach out to someone like you and say, hey, did I do this right? And then now what do we do with the contracts? And that way you're not like, I would never want to just hand someone, hey, call this person. And yeah, thanks a lot. Give me, 25% of the deal. Cause that's not fair. I really want to try to put the effort, make the call, get them to, want the letter of intent or the offer, and at least get that far, so that I'm bringing some value and doing, a lot of the legwork for someone that's going to help me. And then if I make a mistake on the numbers, that's great. Someone can say, hey, look, you missed this, or hey, look over here. Is this really good? Is this going to cash flow? So even if it's not, maybe I, mess up, at least the person won't get mad. They'll say, hey, that's okay.
Yeah.
You're learning. But I want to try to bring that part to be kind of completed, and then have them check it. And 99% of the time would be great if it was a good deal, so that I don't waste that person's time, because obviously I'd want to JV with them.
You'll be
But
surprised.
that's kind of where I am next.
You'll be surprised in
Go ahead. You said
how helpful people are. So even if you, let's say, for example, did bring someone a deal that is like a terrible deal, at least I'll speak for myself about this, but I know a lot of people in the community are very similar. Let's say you brought me a deal, you're like, Jonathan, I think this is a good deal. And we pencil out the numbers, and I'm like, this is a negative 2% return. This is a shitty deal. But I will explain to you why it's a shitty deal. We'll do the numbers together. So it's like, all right, not all is lost. You're gonna learn about it, learn why it is, what makes it good versus what makes it bad.
right. Yeah. No, that makes sense. And that's why I took the extra time to kind of learn that part of it. And again, I still mess up, but I would like to at least put the effort in, so that the other person that I'm asking to help me knows that I really am trying to work, and I'm not trying to hand it off to someone for them to do all the work, because I really do want to understand it. I truly do, so that I can, for me to be successful in the future and practice, but also for me to in turn turn around for other people that are going to be new and are going to be in my shoes, and help them along their journey as well. So I do enjoy helping people. I just offered today to help somebody. They didn't know how to download. I'm laughing because you're always helping with technology, and I actually offered to help someone download her recordings onto Google Drive. I'm like, I'll help. And
Nice.
I don't know how I know how to do it, but I figured it out. And I just said, we'll get on the phone, and so just because I felt bad, she we don't get to listen to her recordings because she can't get them in, and she thinks they're in there, and then we go in and they're not there. So I just thought I'll just help you do it.
Love it.
So it's like that go-giving mentality, which I love. I just it's amazing to find a community that's what it's all about.
100%. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. The culture of just that go-giver mentality is definitely feels
It
well.
is. It's definitely different than corporate America, because I felt like I was trying to be the go-giver in corporate America, and it wasn't serving me at all. I mean, I think it was making me more mentally exhausted because I was just putting in so much effort and always trying to do the right thing. And hey, do you need help? And then, so you start getting taken advantage of. And oh, look, Mary's working till midnight. Let's give her this project. And I just was like, no more. I'm just like so grateful to have found. I mean, not only the mentorship with the women in the beginning, of which led me to this community of, like, I just was kind of taken back when I never met Pace, but when I technically met him online, I was like, is this real? Like, is this how people, I mean, like, cause you hear about it, but not everybody, lives their life like that. And it's just amazing to have a community like that. And I love how immediately they're like, if you're going to complain or you're going to do this, you're out of the community. And, and there's still some people on these calls or Zoom calls that the stuff that they say, I'm like, why would you? Like, I was just like, what are you thinking? I don't get it, but I know there's always going to be a few people here and there. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I will say this till I am blue in the face. Pace Morby, he's very like super smart. So I think he knows. I think this was a conscious effort. But one of the things that sets his community apart from others is he did a masterful job at creating an amazing, amazing culture. And coming from a sales background, the importance of
He did.
culture in your sales organization is paramount.
Absolutely. And the support is, I mean, like, I feel like I'm sure you have in your career as well. I felt like I didn't get the support that I needed. And it's so difficult to keep going, getting up every day and trying to be positive when you don't get the support from, your company or your team. And sometimes I'd be like, I thought we were in sales. Don't most people like, kiss the sales rep's butt almost, because they're the ones out there bringing in money for the company. And some of the companies I've worked for were the opposite and would just treat us like, oh, they're the sales reps. And I'm like, wait a minute, we're busting our butts out here. So it's very refreshing to come into an environment with all this support and help and these groups that are available. And, it's not like people get paid to have their groups. The one I have every morning for an hour, they don't get paid to do that. They're just, doing it out of the goodness of their heart to kind of fulfill what Pace's goal is, to give back and teach new people.
Love it. I love it. Well, I can't wait to see how this journey goes. We need to get a few deals under your belt.
Yes.
All right. I know that you said that
texting
you are
you.
also interested in some PML, private money lending. That's music to my heart. So I would love to be able to have you be a private money lender on one of my deals, and you and I can negotiate a great return for you and your husband.
That'd be awesome. I'm doing my first PML coming up here. I'm a little nervous, but I just went for it. I was actually going to use my cash account, but I didn't want to tie up that much cash. So I decided I'm just in the process. I got off the phone today. We got all the paperwork done to transfer my traditional IRA over to another traditional IRA, but it'll be self-directed. And then I can lend from there. And then I missed a really good PML deal 2 weeks ago. I don't know what was wrong. It was laying around on a Sunday. I was sick and I kind of checked my email because I didn't want to miss anything. And it would have been a really good option to use my cash account because it wasn't extremely a large amount. And the girl that brought me the lead, she's been doing it for 20 years. And so she knows how to vet it, and she knows all the documents to ask for. And I'm so mad I missed it, but she's like, I get these across my desk all day long. So she said she would contact me, for another one that comes up. So But
Who knows? Maybe you'll be
yeah, I'm
getting a text
excited.
message from me later tonight.
Yes.
So,
Absolutely. And the one that I'm lending on coming up, I think it's only 4 months. So I was felt good about that too. Because it's just a first one. It's nerve wracking, like
yep.
doing 12 months at first. So and we're gonna do we're gonna put in the contract in case there's a 2 month extension, just to make sure that that's clear. Um,
Yep. Have
but
that filled
she's
out for sure.
yeah, so I'm a little nervous, but at the same time, like, you know what? I just got to get my feet wet. I have to start. And I'm feeling more comfortable. And the guy explained the self-directed IRA to me. And I talked to another lady. She goes, Mary, I lend all day long out of my self-directed IRA. She's like, don't be nervous. And I'm like, so the last couple of weeks, I'm like, just do it. And I'm a little nervous, but I do the positive, enforce myself to listen to something positive every day. And as soon as a little bit of nervousness comes in, I'm like, nope, go away. You got this. It's going to work out.
And that is a great way to get involved in
So,
other people's deals that you didn't have to find. You're part of the funding, but you didn't have to do the marketing for it. You didn't have to close it. If it's a fix and flip, you didn't
yep,
have to deal with the contractors or deal with the construction, but you also get to see the progress of the
yep,
project as it goes along. So it's a
exactly.
great way to get involved in real estate without having to do the grunt work of because at the end of the day, wholesalers, they're doing the grunt work of finding needles in haystacks and solving
E-
problems.
Exactly. And eventually, I still want to get my feet wet and do the grunt work. But after so many years, I probably want to hold on to my buy and holds. And I definitely want to, continue to PML just to have some passive income because actually the amount in my IRA, I got my statement, it went down a little bit. And then when I called my financial institution today, she goes, let me just double check the balance and see how much cash you have in it because we'll have to liquidate some. I said, okay. And she said the total. I'm like, that was September. I go, oh, I didn't get my September statement. It went down again. And I'm like, so I'm actually looking forward to transferring it. And, I'll be making that interest and I can always stick it back. You can transfer back and forth the IRA to IRA. So I can actually put that money back plus the interest. And then, hopefully the stock market will be better
You
at
can
that
you
point.
can
Who
start
knows? And
you can
then
start you can go from a downward trend. Now you're going to start doing your own upward trends. So
exactly. And by talking to the gentleman that was explaining everything to me, a light bulb went off and I'm like, oh, I have an idea for my Roth IRA now. And he gave me something he said. And I told my financial guy and he was actually like, actually, that's a good idea. And I was like, see, I was paying attention.
love it. Love it.
So I'm excited to put all this knowledge to
There
work.
you go. One day at a time, right?
Now you got to hold me to it. I'm in big trouble because I'm
You're
on
on
video.
video and we're battle buddies. And this is
That's
not going
right.
to be the last time that we do one of these episodes with you and I.
That's right. And I feel better about the people that are going to hang up and say F you because you said you're like it doesn't even bother you. It doesn't phase you. So I'm gonna put your face on my computer screen and pretend like you're telling me. Just call them. Call them.
Just call them back.
Get those FUs out of the way.
Yes, absolutely. Because the quicker you get them out of the way, the quicker you get to somebody that you can actually help.
You're right. You're absolutely right. So the hesitation, just go because, like, you're right. The quicker you get there, the quicker. Absolutely. And I know that. I just got to get myself in that frame of mind.
Absolutely. Well, Mary,
So,
where can people find out more about you, follow you? Is your opportunity to plug any socials, or if you got anything going on, how can people find out more about you?
yeah, absolutely. My Facebook page is under my name, Mary McGervey Lawrence, and if you look that up, you'll see me. I don't post a lot of the real estate on there, and my Instagram I don't either. And I need to take lessons from you, Jonathan, because you have. I see you on Instagram all the time, and I'll even see like I'm tagged. I'm like, he's so good at this. So I need to. I feel like once I get all these marketing campaigns in place and I'm doing my KPIs, I need to start. I was actually gonna, and that's another thing I was gonna reach out to my niece because she's really good at that just so I don't have to pay someone for now, she could help me get some of that started. And like, what you're doing on Instagram, I think is awesome. So I feel like I want to get to that point. So I guess people look for more information in the future. I mean, I have an email address too, but I would say Facebook, at least they could get in touch with me with my name for now, but I don't post a lot of the real estate. But I that's something that I did talk to someone about last week, because I feel like that'll really help. I'm just not there yet, but I definitely have it as a to do, in the future, and I might reach out
Perfect.
to you for
Well,
some
there we go.
pointers.
So for right now, Facebook, Mary McGervey Lawrenson, and then an updated Instagram is soon to come.
Yes, I have an Instagram account. I mean, they can look me up, but I hardly do anything on there. So I would say Facebook would be the better
Okay.
one. But like I said, more to come, because we're going to keep improving. And this is actually kind of a good accountability session too, because I'm like, oh, I'm on recording and Jonathan's going to say, hey, you said this and you
I
didn't do
will.
it. So I don't want to be that person. So I want you to be like, hey, I'm proud of you. You followed through. You did more than you said. Or maybe even if I do what I said and I'm half successful, or I've got some struggles or challenges, at least I'm diving in. So however it turns out, but I'm going to keep moving forward.
Perfect. Well, I look forward as your battle buddy to seeing your journey, and we will definitely talk again soon.
Thank you. All right. And I'm looking forward to seeing where you take things to the next level. And I'm learning a lot from you. And I appreciate your time and your help as well.
Alrighty. Thank you so much, Mary. I'll talk to you soon.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Thanks, Jonathan.